of a beautiful thing that we've crafted over these past few years, and I knew, like, because Manny tells me, hey, or Natalie tells me, hey, you're gonna meet my boyfriend. He's a Dominican tattoo artist from Connecticut, and I'm like, this guy can't be an adventurous eater. I'm like, there's no fucking way, you know what I mean? Because that doesn't happen,
Where are the plantains?
Exactly. Where no está los plátanos? Esa vaina. So. You guys came, and I was like super glad that we could do that. And then you're still working on the shop, obviously, right? During that time,
yeah. I was still
when did you decide? Because I think I left to California before you guys decided to go on the road trip.
Yeah, you were living there already.
Got you. Was the road trip a thing that you guys always talked about?
No.
When did it come up?
It came up. Had to be around a little bit before 2015, before we were married, because we were kind of planning the trip and the wedding kind of simultaneously
at the same time. Gotcha.
Yeah. And it came from a few things, like I had this idea always of traveling. Like, I loved Che Guevara and Che Guevara's work, and he did like the motorcycle diaries where he rode his motorcycle through. I think it started like in Argentina all the way up to Mexico, and I kind of wanted to do something like that, to just experiencing traveling in that way. And I had a client who had mentioned he would take these trips from Connecticut down to Arizona and shoot guns competitively. And I was like, you know what, I could probably do a trip like that in like a little RV, and I could probably work along the way. And we could probably make a living doing it,
Yeah.
So I told Natalie, and I was like, don't say no just yet. He said, but I got this idea.
And I said no.
And she did.
You're like, that's fucking horrible. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, at the time, I had a job as like a social worker.
Yeah, in high school. I remember that.
At high school, and I was loving it.
Yeah, and I commend that because, like, you were rolling in there tatted up.
Yeah.
And going to court to fight for these youth.
Yeah.
I
felt like I was like a little sleeper,
Yeah, for sure. They didn't know.
I roll in there.
You were educated. You fucking knew what's up.
They had no idea what they were up against. Ultimately, then when I came and I opened my mouth and I sounded like I knew what I was
yeah, exactly.
about, they were whoa.
They're like, whoa, who's this person?
Like, can we get all the kids on her?
Exactly.
Which was exhausting, but still like. Some of the most fulfilling work I've ever done, but it was also some of the most draining work I've ever done because it really, emotionally took such a toll.
You're dealing with other people's problems.
Exactly. So by like middle of like the second year, that job had like turned into a shell of who I once was. And that was when I started to be really open to like, you know what? Why don't we just get the fuck up out of here?
Yeah.
Like, what is keeping me here? We don't have kids. We don't have, and he wanted to explore, and I wanted to explore my inner life. And get back
have
to
time to
center.
reflect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it almost came at the right time, Yeah, I had gotten like a diagnosis for panic disorder. My job was totally running me wild.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Maybe if I leave,
Yeah.
You were actually getting panic attacks and stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, that was kind of what was going on.
It was debilitating.
Yeah.
In the middle of my workday, I always felt like I was going to break up a fight in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
That was like what the job was.
That was what you did. Yeah.
But then I don't know. We purchased the RV in June of 2016. And then we hit the road in November 2016.
Yeah.
And it was
it was amazing,
Yeah. What was your first stop? Also, wait, let's rewind.
Yes.
You bought the RV. How was buying a fucking RV? Like, what was the first thought? Let's buy the new stuff? And you were like...
A little bit. It was like, because we both were making like a good living.
Yeah.
At that point, like, my career was at a place where I was fine. I didn't have a big Instagram following, but I was booked solid in my area.
Yeah.
I was like a local guy who was doing fine here. I was booked a few months out. Natalie had her full-time job, so we could afford a good life here. So we went looking for these bigger RVs. And then getting a new one was going to end up being this crazy, like, overhead where we're still paying. It was like almost $800 a month just for the RV. So So we had to kind of scale back a little. We were looking like Class A, Class B, and C, and we wanted something where you could actually see the country. So they have some that have like a little roof deck over. I think those are the Class C, right, babe? Mm-hmm. And we were like, nah, I can't drive around the country and like drive like if you got like a hat on.
Yeah.
You can't see up.
Okay.
So we ended up with this tiny little,
it was basically
very
like a Class
rare,
B, right? Which is like, people are doing
like
van life
van.
now.
Yeah.
We did it first.
Vanners.
Yeah, we were a van
Our
life.
shit was a van, and we could park in a parking spot, or we can park where the RVs go.
Yeah,
so we just got in anywhere.
It's a hybrid.
1996 Volkswagen Rialta. It's like Volkswagen and Winnebago had a baby, and they only made like 2,000 of them.
Yeah.
So like the interior of it was all Winnebago, and
okay.
all like 90s, like that ugly wood grain.
Yeah.
And like gold trim around shit, like really 90s, that pattern that I feel like your mom had on a couch at
probably,
some point, And like we purchased it and we got it, like we kind of like changed things about it. It was like almost perfect. I just needed to like bring it into this century basically. And it took us some time just doing work on that. And he would just kind of fund the project. And I'd be like, well, I want marble countertops, so I'm going to paint the countertop marble. Like, I didn't go buy marble, but I painted it.
There you go,
marble, and then
fake it till you make it.
We kept the two front seats looking ratty. Because I figured if they can't see into the back, if the back looks too nice, people are going to try to...
Yeah, if the front looks ratty,
Yeah, nobody's going to care. 20-year-old van with, like, shitty seats. People always thought we were, like, an old couple. And we were always the youngest people in any
van society.
Yes,
a lot of old people. That's not really a thing. Like people like us from our neighborhoods. You know what I mean?
Going around vanning.
Yeah, we were usually the youngest and the brownest at the youngest and the brownest at the campground.
Yeah, I love that.
It was rare that you saw somebody else that looked remotely like you.
What was your first stop from Connecticut?
We spent the night in New Jersey, and then we quickly went over into Delaware.
Okay, and then that's when you're like, okay, we're
Delaware.
fucking 10 hours from home. Like it's starting to get real. Where did it start to get real? Where you were like,
well, I think Wilmington, Delaware. I think off a rip. I mean, the first night in New Jersey, our hose was leaking water, so we just started it like that.
Yeah.
Woke up the next morning, it was like a mudslide to the next person's camp, and we just like unhooked and just dipped. Alright, we gotta leave.
We trying to live this?
Yeah, I don't want to have this conversation.
Did you guys have any idea where you were going to go park it, or where you were going to kind of? Did you have a map of that?
We had a few campsites. We would always kind of. Natalie was more the logistics one.
Okay,
she was great with it. We're spotting where we were going to sleep next, and then I was just kind of like the joke was I would drive and draw. That was my side of it.
Yeah.
And then she would just do all the navigation stuff and really a lot of everything else a lot,
Yeah.
So we did that. And the next spot was Wilmington, Delaware. I worked at a spot called Trademark Tattoos. Owned by BJ Betts and Damian Guerin.
How'd you hook that up? Did you know who these guys were before you got out there?
I did. BJ Betts is like a legendary lettering tattoo artist. Exactly. Yeah, he's like one of the guys that kind of created that style and one of the first guys to kind of really blow it up. And the dude just draws like that custom script, a lot of stuff. He's really good. So I knew I wanted to work with him, and I reached out to the shop. Like I reached out to a lot of people, and not everybody said yes. But they're like again what we were talking about, the universe puts you where you need to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So this shop I called, and a kid named JP picks up the phone, and I'm starting to have this conversation with him, and he gets the vibe that I'm kind of, he sees what we're doing. I tell him that we're about to start this road trip. Can we do a guest spot? And he was like, yo man, I love this. I love the vibe right now. Yeah, just swing by. And I don't know if he told anybody about it, but I showed up there, and everybody's like, how do you know JP? And he was like, because he was the one who picked up the phone. Like,
yeah.
And he literally just got me in there. I ended up with this guest spot, made friends that I still have, keep in contact with him. And then Damien, one of the owners, actually became like a mentor to me.
Okay.
So it was just ended up at the right spot, right time. And
got you.
It worked out. But one of those nights, we tattooing late. and then went out drinking with all of them. We had the RV parked next to the shop, and we spent the night out there, after drinking, and I'm pretty sure we heard gunshots outside,
Yeah.
I'm convinced there's something else, but it could have been, though.
That neighborhood where we were at in Wilmington, Delaware, definitely. And it sounded like just the gate just slamming, like someone's closing a bodega or something, And I go outside the next day and there's not a gate thing in sight, like nowhere around there. So that was kind of the experience, and that was, it definitely got real. Where it was like we saw we needed to work. I was trying to figure out how to work under these new conditions. We were sleeping at a campground and having to travel. We also had to sleep on the side of the road, if we weren't going to do that long drive.
Yeah.
So we kind of got
we got a taste for how tricky it was really fast.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it got real really quick.
Yeah.
So, especially I think even between us, to live in a van, we've always been the kind of people who be together all the time, But then, to put yourself in that, almost in a vacuum. We put our whole relationship in a vacuum. And it was we had to grow really fast.
Yeah.
And get to know each other really well. This was we basically did most of our first years of marriage in a van. This
van life.
Getting to know each other and whatever, and this honeymoon phase, and now all of a sudden, for the first time in my life, I'm unemployed, since I worked from 15 to 25, and this is my first time in 10 years, kind of being dependent on someone else.
Yep.
His first time having to have a dependent, and both of us are what the fuck are we supposed to do right now? Because I don't want to ask him for money like he's my dad, and he's not like anybody's dad, So both of us are over here how the fuck are we supposed to navigate?
You're all trying to be all bashful.
Dynamic, but I'm trying to be can I get this nail polish? And he's like, do you need the nail polish? And I'm like, oh my god, wait, what are we doing? It was a learning thing.
It was a lot of learning. I mean, we started the trip. We had a goal. The real goal was we wanted to leave with $40,000 saved up.
40,000, yeah.
40,000.
Okay.
We were that's a nice little nest egg.
Yeah.
Just in case of
to not have to worry.
Yeah. So we had this cushion. When we started getting closer to the date, that we had already announced, we were okay, it's actually going to be closer to 20,000. All right, let's hit 20,000 and we'll be straight. Started getting even closer, and then I was in this car. I was in this nice BMW. I had to sell that, and I got screwed so bad with the fucking lease and buying this used car in New Jersey.
Yeah,
that I owed $5,000 on top of what they were giving me. So I had to pay $5,000 to sell my car.
Yo.
And it basically, we left here with only $10,000. A quarter of what we wanted to leave with. But not knowing how the fuck we were going to do this. But we told everybody we're leaving November 1st.
Yeah, we cannot leave.
We're the kind of people who are we need to do what we say we're going to do, which is why we barely ever say what we're going to do.
Yeah. Just so you can opt out. Sometimes I did this with the podcast. I said to many people that I was going to start a podcast to force myself to start it.
Yeah.
Because again, you don't want to be saying you're going to do something you don't want to do, or you're not going to do, or whatever it is,
No, so I totally understand.
Sorry, we've got a dog situation.
No worries, little dog running around.
It's definitely, you don't want to start saying you're going to do something and then not do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So many things I haven't ever done or announced.
Yeah.
I'll start doing something and then I'm glad I never said anything because I didn't want to do that shit anymore after the fact. So, but once we started saying we were going on this trip, I had to break up with my students at the school.
Yeah.
I did 2 years there with the same kids, same 40 kids, and I had to tell them, I'm leaving you guys. I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
And so it was I had to quit my job to go and get that unit. So we actually had to do this. No matter how much money we had in our pockets, we needed to get
I still think 10 G's is, hey, that's great.
10 G's is,
yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
I think a beautiful thing that we how we ended up. You know, we did it for 2 years, and we actually came back with more money